Hello, friends, and welcome to the most glorious of events, the Movie Mavericks podcast. This outstanding program is hosted by two fine gentlemen, Jason and Trevor. Now make it so.
MovieMavericks.com.
Hey, now everybody, welcome to episode 376 of the Movie Mavericks podcast. I'm Trevor Anderson. Send you over to Jason Rugard. He's got a rundown for us.
On tonight's episode, we'll be doing a little bit of movie news, a little bit of trivia, and a lot of talking about TV shows based on films or spun off of film franchises, along with reviews for The Eternals, Ghostbusters Afterlife, and Willy's Wonderland. So we got a hell of a show. Stick with us tonight. How you been? It's been a while since we talked. You've been watching a lot of films. I mean, you've been on a tear lately, my friend.
Films? Films may be too a highbrow description word. You know, I've been watching a lot of flicks. You know, like you flick a booger. That's what I've been watching a lot of.
Speaking of watching a lot of flicks, what are your thoughts about MoviePass coming back out and announcing itself as a new entity and maybe doing a tiered system?
I'm on the list.
Are you really? Okay.
Yeah, because I just want to see what it is. But yeah, basically they're going to make you watch ads, and then you can probably earn points and trade that in for movie tickets, which I guess. I mean, I'll try it.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, but my problem is this. Is the product really there in the theaters to necessitate a movie pass where I want to see something for that free much or that many times?
I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
Is it free? I thought it was a subscription service still, like a tiered subscription, like once a day you got to do this, and will it beat all these movie companies already? I
mean, the way I understood it was, well, I guess there's no understanding it yet because it's not out, and I don't really know what the hell they're doing, but the way I understand it is that it might not be free, but it's not very expensive, right? Because you have to earn the tickets.
I like it. They're making you work for your movies.
Yeah. So you have to watch ads or whatever, and they have the script thing that makes sure your eyeballs are watching the whole time. And then you earn, I don't know what, points or something. I don't know. I don't know. It really didn't sound like Movie Pass anymore, you know, like it once was. Back in the good old days when they were just handing out money.
Oh man, I remember when I first had the Movie Pass, I think it was late 2014, and they ran out of tickets. If you went on like a Sunday night, they just didn't have tickets anymore. And you're like, what do you mean you ran out of tickets? Like they only had so many. And really, the movie that crashed the system was Mission Impossible Fallout.
Which that was the weekend had to tell people you just couldn't see it.
Yeah, late July 2018. And here we are some 4 years later. And with the setback with the pandemic, I wonder if they would have launched this much earlier if things had gone right in the world, with the movies and the release schedule that was originally supposed to be out there. I mean, hell, I'm still waiting for Top Gun 2. And I don't have
someone
any
bought
faith.
It and did this. So this isn't really them. This is somebody else. They're just using the name. So I don't know that I understand it completely. It just sounds like another, weird, it's an internet thing. Remember back in like the early 2000s? That's an internet thing. People just made shit. It has to do with the internet? It's not on the internet? Oh, okay, great. That's what it sounds like,
It's just an internet thing. What do you think about Netflix announcing that they are not only going to make one sequel to Red Notice, they are going to do back-to-back filming. So we're going to get a Red Notice 2 and 3, very similar to Knives Out 2 and 3 that they've invested in with Rian Johnson. Here we are with The Rock, Gal Gadot, and Ryan Reynolds all confirming that they will return for two more sequels. Talk about a film that not only didn't call for a sequel, but definitely doesn't call for two sequels.
Quantity over quality? I mean, that's where we're at right now.
It's just another item to scroll past on the Netflix menu. I mean, really, is that what this is?
It's quantity over quality, right? And it's ownership, right? Everyone, and this isn't just Netflix doing this. It's everyone's doing this. They're all building up content because they want to run their own service.
It causes fracturing and confusion in the consumer's mind, in my opinion.
It causes shitty products is what it does.
what if I'm a Mark Wahlberg fan and I want to collect all of his movies?
Oh yeah,
now he's got
anymore.
a film on Spencer Confidential on Netflix. He's got Infinite
but you
on
can't even
Paramount
buy,
Plus.
I don't think you can buy Spencer Confidential.
No, there's not physical medium copies of this.
There'll be illegal ones. You can certainly buy bootlegs of these.
Right.
I have a box full of them because I thought what fun it would be to buy from a bootleg company a box of random ones for cheap. They claim they were trying to get rid of, but you just print out the fucking covers and burn the disc. I don't know what you're trying to get rid of, what stock you have. You know? But it was one of those companies, because remember I bought the True Lies and from one company that went under, but those were the couple discs I bought from them, which were movies that were unavailable otherwise, were really high quality, and these discs from these new guys is low quality.
I didn't know you got the Spencer Confidential disc. What else did you get?
I didn't get that.
Okay.
I would be more excited about that. No.
Nothing.
No. I mean, maybe for someone, maybe I'll give them away or something. I'm going to do a YouTube video of an unboxing and have a look at it and everything.
So I see why you're being coy with me. He wants you to drive you over to our YouTube channel, the Movie Mavericks YouTube channel, so he can show you and unbox.
It'll be up
for you in person.
I'm probably doing it next week, so it'll be up next week sometime. I'll put it on the Facebook and all the places. People will know. You'll be able to see if it's any good. I believe the site is called moviesrus.net. They're pretty big. They're all over Facebook with the ads. They are in the YouTube people's ears and giving people things. They do have actually really high quality stuff that I've seen other people get for free or purchase from them, and they make YouTube videos of it. So I don't know. It's weird. It's such a gray area too. And all those sites lie. They act like they're like. They always say like we have made deals with Netflix to distribute. You didn't make no fucking deals. You downloaded that shit and burned it on a disc.
100%. And I am, I hadn't heard about Movies R Us before. You had sent me these links a couple months back when we were going through this, and there are some real gems on there, some hard to find things, some out of print things, and it always kind of mystifies me on how some things don't make the jump to the other medium. You'll find things on VHS that never were printed onto DVD. You'll find DVDs that were never printed onto Blu-ray. And what necessitates something making that jump from one medium to the other, and what gets left behind? Because
I'm blown away that
Warner Archives collection had a couple great flicks in it that were big sellers.
With disc on demand technology, that everything isn't just available for me to order. I really am.
You're right. If I can get it on Apple,
how can that not be true?
I should be able to get a physical copy, right?
Yeah. I mean, literally, yes. It all exists, and it's easy enough. As long as James Cameron's not involved, you can just fucking get them and burn them right on the things, Like I say, I have True Lies, Blu-ray, high def quality, and James Cameron didn't touch it or look at it. It's out there.
Yeah,
it
that's a beautiful disc, too. That presentation on that disc that you have is great.
What the fuck James Cameron's going to do with it? I mean, really? Is that movie...
Probably the special features.
No, it's the transfers and everything. He still thinks he's, pan scanning. I don't know what he's up to. It's too much.
He's stuck underwater doing Avatar films at the moment. Mm. All right, let's get into some movies, some TV shows. It's been a while since we had a chance to chat. You've seen a slew of things. I've been stuck in the television world, but luckily you've seen a lot of the same things that I have seen. And I want to start off with the Amazon Prime series Jack Reacher, starring Alan Ritchson, who played Thad on Blue Mountain State so well for so many years.
Watch Blood Drive. Find it. Watch it.
I agree.
Great show.
I believe that's on the Peacock app right now, or the NBC app.
I don't have the damn
Blood
Peacock,
Drive. We got to get
Actually,
you the Peacock.
I do have
that's
the
the problem with
here.
Peacock.
I do
Nobody
have the
has
Peacock,
it.
and I think I won't let the internet know, but yeah, I believe I have your login still.
I was going to say, not only do you have the app, sir, you have the login to the premium subscription.
So yeah, I might have it.
And I don't want people to think that I'm the dumb shit that the only idiot in America who's paying for the Peacock app. Let me tell you how I got it.
It's the one that I drew the line at.
It came free with something else.
Okay, well then that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, after I already have Netflix and Prime, obviously. My brother has Hulu. I don't have Shudder anymore. I canceled that. It's too much. I don't have enough time to watch all this shit. But I did have Shudder, and that was really good. But I watched a movie a month, so I said no. And HBO and then Paramount Plus. But by the time I get to Universal Peacock, I just have to say no.
Yeah, I agree.
Too much.
That's what I did with Paramount Plus. That's why I look at that and go, I just don't find the value as of yet. Now, when they have Mission Impossible 7 and 8 and Top Gun on there and things like
Fair
that.
enough. I mean, I still do watch some things on Paramount Plus and whatnot. And plus they have the Star Treks and stuff. And, I can't not watch Star Trek.
I watched a couple seasons a couple episodes of that new episode series on there, the Discovery. I was not the biggest fan of it, so I didn't feel like I was missing out on too much. But
I hate watching.
They did have some interesting shows. I do that with a lot of series, to be honest with you. I hate watching a lot of television shows, but this Jack Reacher show based on The Killing Floor, which is the inaugural Jack Reacher book, which I think is the weakest book out of the series because it's written in the first person. Not my favorite book on that series, but nonetheless, they've made it into
that.
Let me start off with saying this.
Did you like this show? I mean, honestly.
I'm going to be honest with you. I watched 3 episodes of all of these shows that we're going to talk about. So I didn't complete the series, but I read the book, so I know where this is going. What I did like is I did like that this felt like a small enough story.
Episodes. I'll tell you that much. Oh, yeah, because that last episode's fucking good.
Well, I don't know if I necessarily want to proceed watching this after what I saw. I saw something very bland, very scaled down, and a lot of acting with a capital A. Do you know what I mean by that?
Alan
a lot of posturing and
horrendous in this.
I thought so too.
It hurts me to say that.
Himself.
I love the guy. Like I say, he does great in dramatic roles. He does great in comedic roles. I've always seen him as an all around actor, and it's the writing in this that is so weak. And you can tell right away because Jack Reacher is just too cool for school. He's too good for everything. There's just no effort he needs to put forward in order to win a battle of the wits and brains or bronze and muscle. He's got everyone fucking beat. And so I thought that the secondary characters in this, that the Oscar Finley character, the detective, and then the Roscoe, the female deputy, are far more interesting characters, and they have more interesting character arcs as well. And because when they get put into danger, they have to make that brave decision to actually go through with it because they're not Jack Reacher.
Well, the whole story centers around an obstacle for Reacher, but then he's really not presented with any other obstacle but getting out of that jam. Do you know what I mean by that? He doesn't
really seem to care. He's a drifting character that just drifts through everything.
And Richardson himself has such a good comedic timing that I kept thinking when he was being the smart ass that he was going to break in. Yeah, it doesn't. It truly doesn't. He has the hulking presence, but then you realize that Tom Cruise really brought the acting ability to this.
Yes, he's way smoother. I need this guy. If this guy's smart, he needs to be smooth, not just big, muscly, and dumb. And he's the way he hits it, he's almost like a true to life Peacemaker. It really is, honestly, because he's kind of a fucking dick to everybody, especially the detective. As you go along with it, he's just mean to the guy.
What's funny is, as I'm watching this, I'm thinking, would John Cena have done better in this role? And we'll get to the Peacemaker next, but maybe. I'm glad Cena's what he's in over this because I just think that this is a very bland project.
I think the writing's bad. I don't think the casting's bad. I think the writing's bad and the direction as well. I think, as you say, bland. It's visually bland on every level.
Yeah, it's the whole thing. I think the color scheme that they use, the locations they're shooting in
as well. I mean, the whole thing. Like, his brother dies in this, and that's the crux of it. Like, that's why he's got to stay there and find out who killed his brother. Right? That's the whole point of the show, and that gets lost in here very quickly. He just doesn't, because he's emotionless as well. which is just, I don't know, like he's on the spectrum or something. That's the way they present it. Like he doesn't understand. He doesn't know how to be a human. He's a robot. It's fucking weird. I've just never, especially after, and I never read the Jack Reacher books, but after coming off the Tom Cruise Jack Reacher, this is just odd to me. I don't know if the books are more like this or more like the Tom Cruise ones, but this is just altogether
I'd say
not
they're a
interesting.
happy medium in between the two. This is what the difference is in terms of screen characterizations that I've seen, is that when Cruise was outsmarting somebody, he actually did it in a more subtle, understated way where he let that person figure out that they had been outsmarted, whereas this characterization on the Prem show,
I just think about he's
in your face about it, like, nah, I'm better than you, I'm smarter than you,
He's
you
an
should
asshole.
be doing this.
He's an asshole in this show. But I mean, just the Tom Cruise on the bus with the ball cap, like that is smooth shit. That's someone that's a smooth operator, someone who knows what they're doing, and this guy just felt like he wasn't there, but he was, but he would rub it in your face. Like, I'm really smart. I figured this out. Like, okay. God.
There's, another series that's coming out on Amazon that I have high hopes for. It's based on a series of novels by Jack Carr. Have you read him at all? He's a former Navy SEAL who writes action adventure
I know who he is,
type
but
books.
no, I've not read him.
And Chris Pratt is playing the main character, and they're developing that for a show. I think it comes out July 4th weekend.
It does
on Prime.
I'm pretty sure,
and I'm looking forward to that. That
I agree,
to me,
because,
I hope they don't botch,
because I like Chris Pratt, but they've botched every single show at this point. They just really have. I thought the Clancy stuff didn't work.
Nope.
What was the Michael B. Jordan one?
More Clancy, Without Remorse.
Yeah, but which one? Yeah, Without Remorse. Yeah, and the other one I was thinking was the Jack Ryan stuff, which I didn't like. At least Jack Ryan
had some. At least Jack Ryan had a pulse to it. It had a bit of energy.
It did, but
everything that we talked about otherwise is lackadaisical
and boring.
Yeah, that's a problem with these shows to the most part. They're about 12 minutes too long as far as I'm concerned. I mean, each of these have about a last act.
I love these types of shows though. No, you might as well just watch the last episode of Reacher, because it's a very, like, they kind of gear up and they go in and they take out the bad guys and stuff, and it's got to be hands down the best episode of the whole show.
Well, I'm finally glad that they had a decent. I mean, look, it's not an unwatchable show. It's just okay. Is the best way I can put it. In my opinion,
I agree.
All right, let's talk about the HBO Max show, The Peacemaker, which is James Gunn's spinoff from his odd summer flop. Really, it didn't do that well as much as it was supposed to do. The Suicide Squad, and which I found to be a huge disappointment and really underwhelming in a lot of aspects.
I didn't like it at all.
But
I
really didn't.
I didn't even like Peacemaker that much in that movie.
I didn't care for him at all. I thought the humor was out of place. This show has turned my thoughts around.
This show is so
totally
fucking good.
It is.
I love the intro.
It's such a surprise.
No, this is James Gunn. This is James Gunn. This is what I was hoping
100%.
for with the Suicide Squad, and it just didn't deliver. Like, Suicide Squad is, I just think it's a weird fucking movie. And it's not very good, but this is, excellent. This has heart. This character is well-rounded. He's not completely good. He's not completely bad, but he's both. And that goes for all the characters in this. And there's so much quirkiness with everyone that works, and not only works independently, but works when they're together in a group. And that goes for the good guys and the bad guys. It almost seems an impossible show to exist, really, and to be as good as it is.
I came into this very jaded. I mean, like, first of all, I've been recommending this show to many people, and I hear the same thing. Well, I didn't like the Suicide Squad. I didn't either. If this show had come out before the Suicide Squad, I may have warmed up to that film a little bit more. In fact, I'm thinking about rewatching it just to see if I maybe missed the boat on something or didn't get this particular aspect of it. But John Cena is fantastic in this role. He is. Who would have thought that him and James Gunn would have been a great match for each other in terms of what their strong suits are, and the way he plays the idiotic, arrogant buffoon. He's a likable asshole. Yeah,
he really
confidently
is.
wrong douchebag is fucking great. And talk about diversity. This is a show that has diversity without calling over attention to it at every angle
every
and
character
aspect.
just is as it is, like lesbian, whatever race they are. They just are that, and they just exist within that. And as expected, they act like you'd think that they would, And so, yeah, I agree with that.
They
I like
feel
it.
human and lived in a way that Reacher felt fake and everybody was just portraying something. This actually felt like, and we can't discount Robert Patrick and what he's doing here, playing a totally unlikable character in a way that makes you have sympathy for him, but also disgust. And you know what I mean?
I mean,
like
mostly you just hate him, but at the same time, you almost want him. I know you want him to be able to turn around, to be able to be like, okay, I see the wrong in what I am, but it's kind of good that he doesn't.
But I thought that you talked about the opening act here, the opening musical number. Everything about this is James Gunn screaming, "It's James Gunn!" And this is him turned up to 100% volume to level 11, and it's fantastic.
Do you think
I really think this is great.
Because when you look at the Marvel movies that he's done, you can tell that there's oversight. You can certainly tell with Warner Brothers, with the DC stuff, there's a lot of oversight. This felt like they didn't give a shit. They were like, it's an HBO show. Do whatever you want.
They needed filler and content. And now I'm excited to think that if this spin-off show for the Penguin that's going to be associated with the Batman movie is half as good as this, this is the kind of spin-off I want, where it takes a character I didn't much think about, expands on them to a point where I actually care about them now, and it has some really comedic moments in it that are out of left field.
It only gets better. Like as you watch the show.
Strong writing.
You've only seen 3 of these as well?
Yes, that's right.
It only gets better, honestly.
Yeah, my favorite line in that pilot episode was when Cena's looking at his X-ray, and he said, "I'm just depressed, Doc. This makes me look like I'm just all bulk. I take a lot of time to work on my small muscle groups, and you can't even tell." I mean, that kind of shit, and he says it with such sincerity, and I don't know if Cena's growing on me more as an actor, because I did like him over the summer in that one film with the... Lil Ray Howard, what was that? Shit. They were on vacation.
I don't remember.
Bad
It was
Vacation
that's
Buddies.
a Hulu original where they're
Hulu movie.
Vacation Buddies or something like that. You're right. Yeah,
something like that. But he was actually pretty
great
fucking good in that
I know.
too.
Well, honestly, after The Marine, how could you ever not like John Cena?
I mean, there's a lot of times when I've asked people, how the fuck do you not like John Cena and how do you not like the Marine?
Well, I mean, he's hard.
And tell me you didn't think about the Marine
hard to see
when you saw
sometimes.
Patrick and him together.
It's hard to spot him,
Yeah, I mean, he's such a small individual.
Well, he's camouflage. Yeah, he's camouflage. He's invisible.
I fucking love this show. The Eagle. I mean,
the Eagle. Eagly.
How odd is it?
Eagly, the Eagle.
That he hugs
named
the
your
fucking
Eagle.
Eagly.
As a fucking eagle.
I don't know. This is a show that, as I'm watching it, everything about it was surprising to me. I didn't know where it was going, and I appreciated that. And it felt like 50 minutes flew by.
Yeah, and there's a good story to this. I mean, a good superhero story to this. That I won't ruin because there's too much to ruin, but it is in there, like, and it unfolds in an interesting way. Everything that Reacher didn't do, this show does.
Absolutely, that's what I was thinking about when I was watching.
I'm not requiring
I'm
Reacher.
glad Cena's in this.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Reacher needs to be weird or just the world turn on its head. Like, this show is just fucking odd, right? Reacher shouldn't be that, but it should have all the same basic elements that this show has, and it just doesn't have them.
There's not one surprising element in Reacher from what I saw. This show constantly surprised me.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Book of Boba Fett, the big-time Disney Plus release, much anticipated release. I think this might be what fans were waiting for when they thought The Mandalorian was coming out. They thought it was a Boba Fett show. It turned out not to be.
This is not. This is even the Boba Fett show. I mean, this show is terrible.
I haven't watched any of these other shows.
There are 2 episodes of this show towards the end that are just Mandalorian episodes. Boba Fett's not even in them. They are literally The Mandalorian, and they are Mandalorian episodes of The Mandalorian. You're watching The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett because this show is pointless. Boba Fett is worthless in the show. It's just a boring mess of a show. Talking about filler. This is filler.
It's just fan service over and over, and I don't know if I've grown
but it's
out
not
of
even
Star
good
Wars
fan
because I loved
service.
this, but But it's just watching this, you think, okay, you're obviously telling a story to the people our age because we're the Boba Fett people in the Sarlacc pit, and he's waking up in that, and it's the end of Return of the Jedi. And then it becomes this Western for a minute. Then it becomes kind of Godfather-esque. And then it becomes back to a Western.
They have the flashbacks through the whole show. It's horrendous. It
has no identity.
No flashbacks. Do not make shows with flashbacks anymore. You can't handle it. They're terrible. Stop doing it.
Yeah,
it's just not an interesting show. And he makes terrible decisions throughout it. He's not tough enough. He's fairly weak. And the side characters, I don't really get to know anybody in this show to really give a shit about him. At all. It
looks great. Visually, you can see money has been lavished on this show 10 times more than the other one.
It's not. No, it gets worse. It looks super cheap later on.
Why is this... Okay, I haven't watched any of... I gotta be honest, I haven't watched The Mandalorian.
Mandalorian's really good. If you like Western Star Wars type intersection things, it's really good.
Why is this so off-key?
Because it's pointless. This has no point. It literally gives the characters no point. Like, Boba Fett has no point in this show. He doesn't have a point in it. And they tell you this backstory and these flashbacks, and they try to work that into the rest of the show, but those two stories, the present and the flashbacks, are so different. They don't make a difference, really. I don't know. They were so desperate, and he's so different in this than he was in the Star Wars movies. I don't know what happened when he came out of the pit, but he's a completely different person. He acts completely different. Well, obviously, I do know, actually, because they did in flashbacks. So they rewrote Boba Fett. They rewrote the character in the flashbacks and what happened to him after he survived the Sarlacc pit, and it's just not interesting. I just don't think it's done well. It's the same problem I had with Reacher. I think I have with this as well. I need something better, which is interesting because Jon Favreau is great, obviously.
Robert Rodriguez is.
I was just going to say, Robert Rodriguez, who I really like.
Adore.
Well, guess what? The directing in this is fucking terrible. The whole thing's bad.
This is what I've come to realize when I watched at the end of the third episode of this one was that even since back in episode 2, 20 years ago now in 2002, the more I'm learning about Boba Fett, the less interesting that character becomes to me. When it was mysterious and you didn't see behind the mask,
much better.
It was a lot more intriguing.
He was just a bounty hunter, and he was this guy, and you could almost make up your own kind of story to him. But whatever you made up had to fit. It had to fit in with what happened in those movies, with what he was like. Now people who get hold of things. Yes, now when people get a hold of things, they want to do their own stuff with it, and so they rewrite it, and it's not. That's no. That's not respectful, right? And that people aren't gonna. I have no interest in that, and especially if you do it. If you do it and it's really good, okay. But they've not been good at this. They've not been good at it at all, right? On any level. If in the movies, on the TV shows, they failed miserably in extending the life of a lot of their franchise, as far as I'm concerned. I think this stuff's trash, and I think people treat it as such. They treat it as an off watch on streaming stuff, and I don't think that's good in the long run. Maybe
I don't
think
crazy. Anybody loves this show, from what I'm hearing. I don't hear from Star Wars fanatics that I've talked to. I'm not hearing a lot of love.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what you think about. Because of streaming, you had mentioned earlier, like, how do you collect stuff? So you no longer have a collection that is yours. This is your collection. You no longer have that. You just pay for the streaming stuff. And so you will basically always have Boba Fett, whether you want it or not. So does that bring the level of caring about it down? Like, because I watched it anyways. Like, I still watched it. So as far as they know, it got watched.
There's no rewatchability to this. Nobody's going back and rewatching these episodes.
But is that a problem? See, that's what's interesting to me, because I can't buy the thing. I'll never own it. So it's a one done deal. I watched it. They keep, in that sense, they do keep the franchise alive. I mean, is there a point in which people stop watching things?
Yeah,
because it doesn't
for Star
seem
Wars,
to be.
no, you're always going to have
it doesn't seem
people
to be.
doing
It doesn't seem
that.
to happen, right?
Yeah, I mean, tell me you've seen the George Lucas meme that's going around right now with the Back to the Future. Have you seen this?
No.
You know, at the end of Back to the Future, when Marty's playing with the band and the stunned prom crowd looks at him and he says, that might be ahead of its time, but trust me, your kids are going to love it. It's somebody superimposed George Lucas's head on it, and they got the posters for episode 1, 2, and 3. It says, this might be ahead of its time, but trust me, your kids are going to love it. And it's a good meme that's going around right now. But, you wonder how many ulcers Lucas gets every time they release one of these shows or they do something Star Wars. And he probably, but then again, if he hadn't sat on his fat ass for 20 years not doing anything with the franchise, then maybe he could have told some of these stories.
He still has input, I guess. People still, he certainly had input into this. But it wasn't. It was actually good input, but it was they're like the Mandalorian episodes. It wasn't Boba Fett stuff. I just think this is terrible. And in any show where people have guns, I don't need these creative ways for people not to use guns because they can't kill the bad guys right away. It's stupid. These guys have guns, but it's like, oh, we can't use the guns for XYZ reason, whatever. We have to hand-to-hand combat fight. It makes no sense.
Well, this show also seems stuck in a place where it wanted to be adult, but it also knew it was going to draw a big kiddie audience. So it didn't exactly know how far to push some elements of it. But I thought story-wise, there were some intriguing things that they were setting up. I don't know how far down that they complete telling that, or if some of those things are going to be brought up again in season 2, or what the plan is here. I imagine this is going to be a multiple season, no matter what the ratings are, because they need content fillers. But out of the shows we've talked about tonight, I think this is the least of all three, and it's by far the most costly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've watched all of them, so who am I to talk?
Well, would you place it like this, like I'm doing on the show? I'd say Peacemaker is a definite recommend. Reacher is a moderate recommend. And I'm not recommending Boba Fett.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch The Mandalorian, you could watch this. more.
It's like
more
saying
so
if you watched WandaVision, you could
this.
watch Loki. Or, I mean,
no,
these
not
Disney
really.
shows,
These are
many
intertwined. These are intertwined. So I would. That's why I would say you might want to watch this if you watched Mandalorian, and then you might want to watch this. But yeah, the show as a whole sucks. I mean, I'd prefer Reacher over this for sure.
Yeah, so did I. All right, let's talk about movies. Let's get back on the movie track.
Oh, God.
A couple of big releases that we want to get talking about. One is Eternals, the big Marvel release, the 2-hour and 40-minute bloated epic.
Wouldn't it be crazy if we
out.
only had good things to say about this?
I mean, I'd like to, first of all, if you're listening to this and you're irritated about us being down on things, if you're being honest with yourself, you have to honestly realize that what we're being served up lately is just shit. It's just shit. This movie, first of all, I don't know. I had to stop it and restart it because I thought I had missed something in the storytelling. I thought the first 20 minutes of this was so poorly put together that I was actually slightly confused on who was supposed to be doing what to whom and where we were at and how this character knew that character. And then when I rewatched it, I thought, nah, it wasn't just me. I think that there's scenes that are missing from this opening act that would make this even longer, that flesh out even more story points, because they just jump into this fucking thing like you've read all the comic book. There's a running start into this movie, and for how vast it was, very dull once again. Very
it's a super
dull
basic.
movie.
I mean, just the plot's basic, right? They're the Eternals. They have to save the world against some weird alien thing, and it's just, it's a lot like Captain Marvel stuff. Superhero things are kind of boring unless the characters are interesting, or you do have an interesting plot to do something with. This had neither. It just had neither interesting characters or an interesting plot, and But I guess I don't know. It's Academy Award-winning director, so what do I know?
Oh, get the fuck out of here. That's hilarious. These movies are made... You're an Academy Award-winning director, so what are you directing? The dramatic scenes? You're blocking out the other stuff? Because 90%, or not 90, but 50% of this is shot on green screens and with second unit. So what is she directing exactly? This fucking cracks me up when these directors that have never made anything with any action
she also wrote the
making Marvel
screenplay.
movies. Oh, well, thank you. She's clearly such a talented storyteller that she couldn't get the fucking exposition out of the way in a clear manner to not confuse her audience. I mean, this thing, visually, great. They can do the visuals all day long. What character am I supposed to give a shit about this movie?
It's very basic visually as far as any of these movies are concerned.
Who are you supposed to care about?
I don't
All of
know.
them? Some of them?
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't get into any of them. And I don't, it's like this weird half Watchmen type plot that's going on that just, that was more like a Captain Marvel thing where people are lied to and they're not like, I don't really understand the point of why this needs to be like, why do they need to have their memories wiped? They show up, they kill, like they're part of a process of like growing food for this thing, right? And the food would be us, the humans. Mm-hmm. It just makes no sense. But then then they have to have the evil alien things show up. And, I'll just ask you this. Why don't the Eternals just show up and kill all the dinosaurs? Why do they need to bring like these crazy monsters down to kill everything? Why don't they just kill it all? I'm so confused.
Where were they with Thanos and all that stuff? I mean, it's like, we weren't ready to intervene yet.
Right?
We are now.
Yeah, you got to retcon them in here because you have a universe that is too big, and it works. This stuff works on a comic book level because you can actually just ignore comic books. You can ignore entire trees and plot lines and things of comic books. You just don't read those things, or if you do, then they kind of, that's where like the multiverse type idea kind of comes from, where things exist in the same universe, but not really, so it's excusable. But when you try to present it as like a solid movie line where everything really is in line with each other, yeah, it just gets to the point where like, where were you guys? Like, what was this? And the whole thing like, oh, well, we don't interfere. You don't, but you are going to now?
Because it seems like you do. Yeah.
All right.
Because the whole movie's about you getting the balls to interfere finally. To me, this reminded me of a really lesser, like X-Men 3: The Last Stand. Do you know what I mean by that? Where nobody popped off the screen. I really didn't give a shit
or the
who
last
was doing
actual
what
X-Men
to whom.
movie as well. That Rise of Phoenix or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
What is it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Dark Rising.
Yeah, because that's what happened with those X-Men movies as well, right? They went from really interesting characters in First Class, like really great movie, and then by the time ending with the Phoenix saga stuff, and it's just not interesting. I don't care about the characters.
It becomes a lot of busyness, and which isn't interesting at that point because you're not invested in anything that's happening. In terms of what they can do visually. I don't know if you saw this.
But it's not even.
Well, clearly you watched this on Disney Plus, right?
Yeah, I watched on Disney Plus.
Did you watch it with the where you could watch the IMAX screens in a different ratio?
That is.
Did it throw you off? It was very odd to me.
No, but it's not a thing. I don't understand. That would only work in. It doesn't really work in IMAX. It doesn't even really do that because they're not for actual IMAX screens. They're for the fake IMAX screens.
Yeah, they're retrofitted,
which are just like XD type screens that you would find at a lot of theaters. I mean, those are the Cinemark ones.
Hold on. So what you're saying, like to be clear here, is that it's an IMAX convergence, like a 3D convergence. Once the film's been shot, it's not shot on IMAX cameras.
The movies don't get wider, right? They get skinnier. I mean, and that's the reality. So if you want to shoot a wide movie, because you have, it's the one screen. That's all you got. They don't have wide screens anymore. And actually for a long time they didn't as well when they sent out anamorphic stuff. But things aren't even anamorphic anymore, right? It's all just straight regular stuff. And so you're just cutting off the tops and the bottom and you're saying, oh, it's wider. But it's not. You might as well just shoot everything 1.85 or 16:9 really at this point, because when you do the IMAX enhanced stuff, it just fills the screen then. And I've seen I watched the YouTube videos with a guy complaining about it because he had bought the 4Ks, and he's like, well, the IMAX Disney ones are actually better, and he showed the different versions of them, and he's right, because it's better formatted for the screen. It's just it's a better shot. You see more information. So yeah, I've always found that annoying when they did that when they do framing in a lot of movies like that, and you miss things by going to different framings. I don't know. There's weird stuff.
The only time I really thought that an IMAX shot or a sequence worked, if I'm being 100% transparent here, was that in Ghost Protocol, when Cruz stepped out on the Burj Khalifa there, the out at the window, it went from normal to IMAX, and it gave me a sense of vertigo. And that was an effective use of that.
But that isn't. I don't know. Calling it IMAX is, unless you're watching it on a real IMAX screen, it's nothing to you. It's just an aspect ratio change. That's all it is. And that's, I think that's usable. That's interesting. Certainly something that could be used visually in a movie, like as you say with that. And it does work sometimes, but in general, it's just, I don't think for most movies, it's just, it's unnecessary.
It's a cheap trick, I think, to sell it to scenes in IMAX, see it in IMAX, special scenes filmed, blah, blah, blah. Is 3D still a thing? Can you still get like a 3D screening of something?
Yeah.
Do you know, is that still around? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not as much as it used to be.
I mean, shit, I haven't seen an advertisement for a 3D movie in a long time,
Yeah, people just want to watch movies, and want to watch good movies, and so I'm basically done with it. I'm done with everything Hollywood, all this technology bullshit stuff. I think we've got the technology down, clearly. Just quit it. Make good movies.
Yeah, get back to storytelling. Yeah. That's really the main aspect here. That's going to be the theme of this show right now, because the next film we're going to talk about is Ghostbusters Afterlife, which is Jason Reitman's ode to his father's franchise, Ivan Reitman, who passed away this week. Bummer to lose Ivan Reitman. And, Ghostbusters
Triplets.
1 is hailed as, that's never going to happen, the Schwarzenegger, Eddie Murphy,
I don't know. I wonder.
Unless Reitman takes it up.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll replace him, because it was it's fairly close to shooting as far as I understand it. Like, they're basically getting ready to roll on
prepping.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was in prep. So maybe the younger Reitman takes that over. But, the first Ghostbusters is heralded as this absolute classic. And as much as I admire the first Ghostbusters, I'm not in love with it as much as, let's say, Back to the Future or, Rocky, the things of that era that are, or Goonies even, that are comparable. Although I do have an absolute love for Ghostbusters 2, which I think is almost as good as the first one. I love Ghostbusters 2.
I think you're right. I really think Ghostbusters 2 is just as good as the first one. They are different movies, but at least they're told differently. They're certainly set up differently, but yeah, I don't see the problem with Ghostbusters 2, other than I think it's fun to say that it sucks. I think it's an interesting joke that everyone says all the time. It's like you kind of have to be in the know, in a way to know that Ghostbusters 2 isn't as good as the first one. But looking back, yeah.
It has a Bobby Brown soundtrack cassette single along with it. I mean, it's got some weird oddities to it, but it also came out in a summer of sequels in '89 where it just got pretty much... It had like the opening record for the box office for the weekend, and then the next weekend Batman came out and shat on it, and then like Indiana Jones came out or somewhere in that order. But I mean, it got lost that summer.
Those are fun movies. The first two Ghostbusters movies, and I think they fit shoulder to shoulder with a lot of the other things you listed. Obviously, I think Rocky would be the best movie out of all those if I really had to look at a movie. In the summer of '89, when Ghostbusters came out, you had the sequel to Indiana Jones, you had Batman coming out, you had Lethal Weapon 2, you had License to Kill. Sure, you had a lot of big action films coming out. But there are only certain movies that stick, through time, and Ghostbusters is definitely one of those movies. It is that good. Fucking A, yeah. And I think Ghostbusters 2 is overlooked. Me too. And the 2016 version came out, and it was okay. I wasn't too keen on it, but it was acceptable entertainment for what it was. You know that it was just okay. I think everyone, if you ever see the movie, it's just a movie. It's not great. There's plenty to complain about, believe me. But it was a one done guy. I saw it, whatever. It just didn't bother me, I guess, as much as everyone makes it out to bother them. I don't quite understand it, but.
I wasn't sure on the backlash of that as well, but as a film, it had some decent laughs, and I loved the cast all individually on Saturday Night Live for the most part, and I thought they did a great job for what they were given. And in retrospect, now that I've seen Ghostbusters Afterlife, I actually appreciate the 2016 version a little bit more, because this is this movie is first of all, it's hollow nostalgia. It's playing on fan service. It's all to me the worst aspects of the reboot, redo franchise shit that we're in right now.
Man,
and I hate to sound like that, because I wanted to love this movie. I really did. The first 10 minutes, I thought it was there.
Me as well. I mean, I watched this movie and it opens up and I'm thinking, oh wow, and the direction is really good in the opening of this movie. I'm like, oh my god, Reitman's right
pacing.
here. This is working. And then I realized this is a 20-minute short that they extended into like 2 hours. It's fucking horrendous. I mean, this movie
you
is
hit it on the
really
head.
bad.
This is a pitch.
Yeah,
this is not a fully developed
substance
story
in this movie. And to say empty fan service, I hate fan service. I hate it. I hated it when they did it in that first Star Wars movie. I can't stand it. I don't need someone to on screen tell me how wonderful it is that they're making this fucking movie. I'm here. I'm watching it, aren't I? Like, I just don't join in with the fun with me. You're not part of this. You're not a fan. You're making the movie. You're the person I'm supposed to be the fan of. To me? It's horrible.
It makes me think of when I'm watching something, I go, oh, hey, remember that other thing over here? This is kind of like that. And then I'm totally out of the fucking movie again. And I get it's a sequel to something, so it's going to have a bit of that quality. But this story... Tell me you can't see everything coming from a mile away.
I mean, the story, but
and
the story's so basic.
Quips.
I have some complaints about the idea that if Ghostbusters 1 and 2 really happened, would you not fucking know about it?
Well, this whole generation is oblivious to it, apparently.
Me? They don't teach that shit in school. Ghosts are real. They found it out. Really? That doesn't fundamentally change like science and the way that what? I can't handle it. That is just such a breach of logic that makes no sense to me whatsoever. At all.
I was a little confused about that too, especially because you have what are apparently intelligent people in this in the form of Paul Rudd, who's a seismologist, and who's the best thing in the movie once again.
Underutilized to a degree that is just... you say the best thing. I don't know. Some of the lines he delivers are cringy, and the writing is so horrible. He almost doesn't have anything to say. Sometimes it feels like, and he interjects just as a reminder that he's still there. God.
At least I look to him to at least be an interesting character. I found nothing else interesting in this. I didn't think the kids with their Stranger Things situation going on and the granddaughter. The fact that that's Egon in the beginning is clear to everybody. It takes the characters in the movie about a good 35 minutes to catch on
because
to that
they just keep doing it. They keep rewatching YouTube videos about Ghostbusters so many times. I'm like, dude, the first time you did that, I got it. Like I already fucking know. You should fucking know because you live in the world. I don't even live in that world. I live in a world where those were movies. Like, I got 4 hours of that world. You have a whole lifetime in that world. You don't know this shit? This is unbelievable to me. Imagine if ghosts were real and then you didn't know about it. Like, no one told you. They're like, we don't really talk about that.
No, they took care of that back in 89 and we'd had to think about it since. Anymore.
It's like, no, that has fundamentally other issues. Like, what?
You said, this is the biggest fan film of these type of things that I've seen.
This is basically a fan film. Have you seen any fan stuff? I've seen a couple like Star Trek things, and they're smooth like this, but they have that feeling of like inauthentic. They feel like they're well made or well crafted in some sense, but they don't feel like they're really part of the actual story. They feel like a fan movie, and that's what this feels like.
That's what this felt like.
Especially when the original Ghostbusters show up. Oh my god. Puke.
Let these guys rest already. Retire them. I mean, how many times? You know what it reminded me of as I'm watching it? I kept thinking, okay, some of you assholes showed up in the last one too, and you fucking vetted that one, and you guys all said this was great, blah, blah, blah. It reminds me of Schwarzenegger every couple of years trotting out a new Terminator movie going, this is the best one since number 2. Yes. And you know it's not. And then he comes out and goes, the last one sucked, I know, but this one is the best one since 2.
I just hate like moments in these movies, like I say, the fan service stuff where you had the ghost Egon and all of them together lined up, and then they all look at him like, and it's that moment of like, can you believe there's a Ghostbusters movie and it's a real Ghostbusters movie and the real Ghostbusters are in it? Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Oh my god, it's the greatest thing ever, guys. We made it. We made a fucking Ghostbusters movie.
Yeah, the Beatles didn't get back together here. I mean, it's not that big of a fucking deal.
Is this really what people want? Because the people love this movie. They keep saying this is a great movie. This is exactly what they wanted. Screw that all-female Ghostbusters movie. And it's just like the all-female Ghostbusters movie was like at least a real movie. It had a plot. It had characters that went around.
It was also a comedy.
And it was a comedy,
It had laughs.
It's got problems. Like I said, I got plenty to complain about there. But to me, that movie, for all of its faults, is way more intriguing than this.
The rewatchability factor is way higher on the 2016 version.
I'll probably never watch this.
That's all I'm going
to
say about that.
There's no reason to.
The two lines in this made me like chuckle. One was the whole, the bit between the girl and the teacher initially when she gave him a little and she winked at him. That was cute. And there was another bit later on down the line where the boy said a little something to the podcasting kid. That was cute. But it's all it reeked of a Spielbergian type, wannabe. And I didn't, Spielberg didn't make Ghostbusters. It didn't need that vibe to it either.
Ghostbusters doesn't have that vibe at all, yeah.
And it has a very odd soundtrack. Who's picked the music? I mean, obviously Reitman did, but like, everything about this movie screamed attention to itself. Is the best way I can describe that. Like you said, look, guys, we're making another. Isn't this cool? We're doing this. Isn't it cool?
I hate it.
We're doing this. Show me, make it cool. Don't tell me it's fucking cool.
There's that moment in Star Wars where they're like, where they're on the Millennium Falcon for the first time, and they're like, can you believe we're making a Star Wars movie? This is the Millennium Falcon. Oh my god, this is Star Wars, you guys. We're making a Star Wars movie. It's like, I don't need characters to tell me that. I'm watching the fucking movie.
Well, if they're gonna do that, at least do it in a humorous,
if you want to do it with
self-acknowledging way, like in Fast 9, when Tyrese realizes he's in the middle of a fucking Fast and Furious movie. I love that
was
sequence.
Okay. I mean, the third Expendables is the best one that does that, but yeah, I mean that kind of stuff is far more entertaining than, but that's not fan service.
No, that's just characters realizing the crazy shit they've done,
which is fine.
Yeah,
I mean I don't need. I know the title of the movie. I don't need you to keep telling me that you did this and you're amazing because finally, and you're a true fan. I swear to God, start hiring people who do not know anything about the fucking source material. Don't let them read fucking source material. Just get away from that. I don't want fans.
That sounds sacrilegious.
But when
really
fans make these movies, they are not good.
And I'll point to one perfect example of what proves your point you just said, because most people say you're out of your fucking mind. The perfect thing that symbolizes that is the original Batman film, because Tim Burton didn't love the comics, he wasn't married to any of the ideals of it, and you have a fucking classic that stands up.
As long as you can hit some major
that's what they used
if you
to
know
do back then.
Generally what happens in some storyline or whatever, then great, you're good to go, right? It doesn't have to be. Look at the Watchmen movie. It's a great movie. It's not the same as a comic book. So many things get changed anyways. And these people are just retcon, make up whatever the hell they want to anyhow. So I don't even believe half the people who are making this shit are fans. But it just seems worse on some of these. Like J.J. Abrams should not be. And I'll tell you, the Star Trek movies, fine. He got a one in there that was good. Well, maybe two.
Yeah, one. Well, yeah,
two with those Star Trek movies. I like the first one and the third one. The second one is okay.
First one's great. The second one's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree with you. The second one's just okay. But, you talk about J.J. Abrams, talking about Super 8 even, his Spielberg kind of ode to Spielberg. This had a little bit of that vibe to it as well. This had a Super 8 type vibe to it.
Yep.
And I don't think that's appropriate.
Super 8's a better
material.
movie. I'd rather watch Super 8 than this ever again.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, Super 8's a way better movie, So I don't know. I don't know the point of making. I guess I don't know the point of making movies anymore. I think it's just for content, and that's not. I don't know. That doesn't work for me.
Well, it's definitely this, like I said, this false nostalgia era that we're living in. I hope we get past it because a lot of these are just going to be written off anyways. There's no rewatchability to this.
Well, it's too late
all.
in some sense. Like you will never get a Ghostbusters 3. It's too late. It's too late for Ghostbusters. Yeah. So stop it. Just stop it, or do a Ghostbusters, and like you did before with the all girl one. But okay, no one liked that. Okay, we'll do one that's completely separate again. Like restart it. There can be Ghostbusters elsewhere, other Ghostbusters. I don't know. Does it have to be these 4 guys? Can only be them? I mean, there's fucking ghosts.
I mean, they tried that with Men in Black International, and that was a fucking
and that
disaster.
was yeah, it didn't work. So they're unhelpable because I think they're too focused on business and they don't care. And to be honest, there's no hurt being put on the wallet for them, right? Everyone's still paying for everything, so what the fuck do they care?
Well, this was done much cheaper than the 2016 version because there's no name stars in this. I mean, you got to pay to get the old guys back for a little cameo, but that's about it. You're not paying big names above the title. The brand sells itself.
I don't think they were willing to take
a
chance on it. I mean, I think that's the reality on that.
Look, this got rave reviews at film festivals because it was basically seen by a lot of fans. And in a place where you have a loving relationship with that.
I'm not a fan the way that other people are fans, you know?
Yeah, me neither of this franchise. So I have to admit that and kind of give you that caveat before I say it.
I can be fanish over things, but I'm not so dedicated to anything that something else couldn't exist that, you know, I guess hurts. Although I
saw you dressed up as Harry Potter on the midnight screening of all the movies.
Yeah, I did just say about Boba Fett that I didn't like that. So
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I'm getting all tongue twisted here, just with just bad content. You know, I guess if it was good, there wouldn't be any complaints. You know, but so I don't know how they fix that. You know.
Let's move on and talk about
maybe with stuff like this.
Willy's Wonderland. I want to talk about Nicolas Cage's straight-to-DVD career, which has been sprawling as of late. Not as prolific as, let's say, Danny Trejo or Bruce Willis at the moment, but nonetheless, he's putting up solid numbers. Exactly. I mean, Nicolas Cage is at least a little bit more concerning or disconcerting, but this is a film about a guy who goes to work for basically Chuck E. Cheese. Do you have Chuck E. Cheese down where you live? Do you have that franchise?
Of course. I love Chuck E. Cheese.
Okay, so all over California with the dancing Muppets that play the music. And did they really?
Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrendous.
Bastards.
They took them out. The only reason to ever go there. They took them out.
Here we are talking about false, hollow nostalgia, and I'm upset about Chuck E. Cheese removing the fucking Muppeteers.
I did eat their pizza, though. 2020, I think. 2 years ago. Horrible.
Is that what caused the pandemic? Were you the fucking patient zero?
Maybe, yeah. I had to get it because I kept in my head. I was like, Chuck E. Cheese. I had to try it.
Great pizza.
It's not. It's terrible pizza.
I remember it being basically cheesy bread, like sauce
It's really
whatsoever
bad.
on it.
We got a couple of other things too.
Yeah.
Just because I'm never going back, so I wanted to try a lot of their weird or a lot of their pizza-ish type things they had. It's all bad. There's nothing good about it.
Hold on. This story's awesome. Were you just driving by a Chuck E. Cheese and said, fuck it, I'm getting a pizza from Chuck E. Cheese?
Well, essentially, yeah. I mean, there's a Chuck E. Cheese by like our Winco, by the Dollar Tree. It's just, it's been there forever in that building, but so it's just out there. I know where it is, but we were leaving Winco one day, and I was like, fuck it, I'm getting some Chuck E. Cheese pizza.
I love it.
And it was during like the lockdown
parlors.
stuff, so I was like, if these bitches are open, fucking getting some. We're going in there. And we went in, and they was all closed down and everything, and they still had their puppet show, but they wouldn't turn it on, but because no one was there. But they were taking it out. They were taking all those out. They made an announcement. It's disheartening. I thought, damn.
It is disheartening. It really is. But I got to say, out of all the times when I'm driving by a pizza place and I'm thinking Papa John's or this one or that one.
Yeah, that show was
Round Table Pizza
so
Hut,
much fun.
I never think of fucking Chuck E. Cheese for a pizza. I forget that they even sell pizza.
I just always remember that show.
And
the show's horrible. You can look it up on YouTube online for anyone that wants to know. You can look it up. It's horrendously bad. Yeah, but it was fuck, it was the 80s, man. It was awesome.
Oh yeah, jumping in a ball pit full of germs. I mean, just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Great time. I had many a birthday party there myself and for friends. And this movie at least brought back that memory, because this is about a guy who, what is he, a security guard or a janitor? It's been a while since I watched this one. I think he's a janitor, right?
And he's a janitor, yes. Well, no, I mean,
he's a drifter who gets hired on at this franchise.
Nothing. Yeah, he's just kind of this guy. You don't really know what he is, because he doesn't speak ever.
There's zero dialogue in this film by Nicolas Cage, by the way.
Fairly interesting.
It's truly a silent film performance.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
But yeah, this is a ridiculously weird movie. So he gets tricked into being the janitor for Willy's Wonderland. And there's a whole plot about it. They basically trick people. And then the Willy's Wonderland, it's like Five Nights at Freddy's, right? Which is a game where you're in a Chuck E. Cheese like thing, and there's the stage creature things that are like robotic things come alive and they kill you, and that's basically what this is. And apparently in this town, they have to feed these things, fucking people, because there's a whole curse thing. Well, whatever. It's a standard horror shit. But I thought this was kind of a fun movie for how low budget and just kind of weird to say, but in a good way. It doesn't try to make it out to be more than what it is. Like, shit, Nicolas Cage doesn't say a fucking word during the whole movie, so it really doesn't try at all, and it just exists as what it is, which is a weird kind of a movie where Muppet robot things come to life and try to kill you.
I thought it was a fun little movie for what it was. It reminded me of Critters or something like that. It had elements of Little Shop of Horrors with having to feed the beast to keep it kind of satiated, so that it wouldn't. I don't
think it's as good as either of those,
go after
but yeah.
the owners. No, but I mean, for what it was trying on the budget that it had, I actually appreciated what it was doing. And Nicolas Cage not speaking a word sounds like what Bruce Willis does. Shows up and picks up a paycheck. Nicolas Cage is actually invested in this film.
Yeah, he's working. He's acting.
Yeah, and what he's doing is a choice that somewhat enhances the movie, because I don't know what he'd be able to say verbally that wouldn't just be fucking ridiculous. It also makes him,
I mean, what is he in this? He seems like he's not human in some way. And so, like, when he meets these...
I thought he was on the spectrum or something.
I don't know what it is, but because he almost seems overpowered in this, in a way, like more than just a normal human. Because when he fights the creatures and stuff, like, he fucks them up. And they typically kill people. And he's like breaking them and doing all this shit.
Yeah, maybe you're onto something. Maybe he's like an avenging angel or something like that. It was something
weird like that. That's kind of the feeling that I got. But they didn't. But there's no backstory, obviously. They don't even. That's why I said they don't even attempt to explain any of that stuff. But you're just kind of left with that idea that he's something different than everybody else. At least, like he's. Well, he is the difference. He's the thing that's able to kill the bad guys. But I like the special effects in this. And I like the characters of the.
I do too.
Of the animatronics, I even like those characters and like the different things that they did, and the secondary characters were, hit and miss.
Look, this is a great midnight stoner movie. I got to be honest with you. This is the kind of movie that you eat an edible or you smoke a joint, and you put this on at midnight, and this is the kind of shit they would have showed on USA Up All Night back in the 80s and 90s with Gilbert Gottfried. And this is the kind of movie that if you had a video store and you were wandering through it and you picked this up, this becomes the cult classic amongst you and your friends. You know what I mean? You watch this 10 times. Because this is on streaming and Nicolas Cage isn't what he was, it's easy to dismiss this. But out of the movies we're talking about on today's show, I actually think this is the most enjoyable out of all three of the things that we were talking about. Yeah. And this has the most minuscule budget with an actor who is out of favor and yet has more creativity in it in terms of storytelling choices than the two of the bigger budget box office hits that we just talked about. I mean, out of all of these, Willy's Wonderland and The Peacemaker are the two that I'm recommending on today's show.
They're the oddities.
Would you agree with me on that?
They're the weird ones. And in some sense, no oversight. Letting people do what they do best. Who'd have thought that actually works? That you don't need the suits in there making sure everything runs just right so it can be commercially viable.
Well, I mean, I get it, because if not, you get a Lars von Trier in there making Dogville, and nobody puts heads or tails in the fucking thing.
Often, and that's only when you completely let it run unchecked, right? Like, and you only have to, like, as you say, you only have to go back to the 60s and 70s to see how that story ends, which is not good. But I certainly don't want, as much as I don't want a Lars von Trier, I don't like what we're getting now, which is the complete opposite. The pendulum has swung too far to the other side.
Yeah, do you remember in the early 90s when Spielberg said in the future there's going to be one movie made, it's going to star the biggest movie star in the world and have all the special effects, and they thought that, like, at the time, Last Action Hero might be that movie as an example. We are going to eventually get to that. It's going to be the biggest, whether it's Spider-Man or the Avengers, it's going to be one movie, it's going to have everybody, it's going to be the biggest fucking thing. And
I mean, I don't know. I don't know that that's true, because all the movies, we have had so many record-breaking movies. I look where Spider-Man wound up on the all-time list.
What's the top 10 chart, bro?
It's
I used to be able to
unbelievable.
recite that by heart when I was a kid. Can you tell
there's
me
been
what's
a
on
lot
the
of
top
movement
10
on there, but
grossing of
there's
all time?
a lot of newer movies in there.
It's mostly newer shit.
Yeah, and that's unprecedented, really, I guess. But even, I mean, when we were keeping track of the charts, it wasn't that long, anyhow. But
I know, but
things
still,
move faster
you think
now.
about
But
it.
yeah.
It's populated now by more
Everything
sequels than I've
erases
ever
the
heard.
past, right? The new it pushes out all the older stuff. There's no staying power at all, and for anything. That's why I was saying before. That's why streaming almost helps that, right? It helps you just shit out stuff, and then you forget about it. It's just gone wherever, but available there for whoever wants to see it whenever. But you don't have a collection anymore. You don't have things that you care about anymore. You
also don't have a library that you can reference. Like,
yeah.
That's a big thing. There is a shot the other day that I wanted to look at that I remember from Apocalypto, and I put on Apocalypto just to look at that shot, because I was like, I just remembered that shot, and I wanted to see if it was exactly how I remembered it, and I found the scene and I put it on, and it was, and I thought, that's like opening a book and reading a passage. If you don't have that book on your shelf, you can't open it up and refer to it. Whether it be an encyclopedia or whatever.
You have to double check is it on the streaming services? When will it be? Maybe. Who knows?
Right. It just to pull that off the shelf and have that, I also felt like I had ownership of it, and that with my money, I had kind of voted for this movie in a way. Do you know what I mean by that? Where, like you said earlier,
it's yours. That's your collection.
Fett. It doesn't matter if we liked it or not. The viewing numbers are in, and we watched it, and Disney says 2 more people watched that. It's not like when you spend your hard-earned money to buy something, made the trip to the store to get it, ordered it off Amazon, whatever it may be, and like I said, you voted with your money so that the studio, the actor, they knew if they were viable or not.
I'm not ordering off the menu. I'm just going up to the buffet, and that makes that's hard, because I can go up to the buffet and everyone can look at something and think that looks really good and take it away, and then the people who work at the buffet will think, well, that food's real. Everyone loves that food, right? And people keep taking it, but they're not fucking eating it, or they're not liking it, they're not finishing it, they're not whatever. But to them, they think that it's good, and they make the same money. Everyone keeps going back. I don't know, man. I don't know how to fix this problem. This is like a technological problem where things are changing. The way people consume things are changing, and I don't know. I am not happy with the quality.
Well, out of the shows that we talked about today, 2 of the 3 are decent enough to give a recommend. I mean, one's a high recommendation. With the Peacemaker, we both recommend that. We both say modest recommendation for Reacher, and we're both negative on Boba Fett. To recap the movies that we talked about, we both were down on Eternals. Neither of us liked Ghostbusters Afterlife at all. We both thought the 2016 version was much better, and we both enjoyed Willy's Wonderland. So we were absolutely in agreement today. First time in a long time we've been 100% in agreement, so good job. You're correct in all your assessments of all the products.
I've been checked. Okay.
Yeah, you've been vetted, and you are corrected, sir. That's going to wrap up our episode for tonight. We want to thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back shortly with another episode talking about The Kingsman and the other latest releases on the streaming services. Speaking for Trevor Anderson, I am Jason Rugard, and we are the Movie Mavericks.
Oh my, another magnificent episode has come to an end. If you're craving more, set your destination to MovieMavericks.com, Warp 9. Engage!